sewing friends, welcome to my sewing room. My name is Beth, and if you're new, welcome. Today we're going to do a little shopping and then we're going to start a quilt. Let's get started. So this week I was in an antique store and I was not shopping for quilts. I was actually looking for little items for my dollhouse, thinking maybe I would run into something I could add to the dollhouse, and maybe I'll share that in the future. But right now I wanted to show you these quilts that I spied. This one was kind of unusual with these applique circles and the lovely pink ties that are in the center of all those circles and in the center of all the blocks where they kind of intersect. And then there was this wedding ring quilt with all these old, beautiful 30s type fabrics. This is a quilt top, wasn't completed, and I just wanted to show you all those really pretty fabrics. I also really love embroidery, and this crewel type embroidery picture was on the wall. I think I've seen it before. I don't remember where or what vintage it is, but I really liked it. And then I also spied another quilt, another applique quilt, using these large black stitches. And I do have a video not too long ago. I showed how to make a little Scotty dog applique using these big black stitches. And I loved looking at all the designs on this quilt, all these applique designs. I had a little trouble showing you these quilts. I was one-handed, holding my phone and trying to film, and there wasn't really a good place to spread the quilts out. So I hope that you'll bear with me as I try to show you just these beautiful old quilt blocks. And these blocks in this quilt were quite large. I'm going to show you my hand next to the quilt block in just a minute, but some of these fabrics had totally bleached out. They looked white now, but I really liked this quilt. This is a block I don't think I've made before. I might look that one up in my little book. And here's another applique block. Isn't that sweet? After seeing those old quilts, you can guess that I was really inspired to make a quilt, and I wanted to figure out how those applique circles were constructed, so I came up with my way of doing it. I'm not sure how that quilter long ago did her circles with those four quadrants, but I thought the easiest thing for me to do would be to make some four patches. And here's that quilt again to show you how those circles reminded me of four patches. They looked like they had been constructed as four patches and then rounded out into a circle. So that's what I'm going to try to do today. I did have some 3.5-inch strips already sewn together from a recent quilt that were just a little bit longer than I needed. So I cut a couple more strips so that I would have enough to begin this quilt. So these strips are 3.5 inches wide, and they needed to be at least 7 inches long, or just a little bit more to account for, straightening the edge there. And I'm going to press them, and then I'm going to cut 2 segments that are 3.5 inches. getting my 4 patches completed and pressed, I went looking around my house for a circle template that would be just a little bit smaller than my 4 patch because I need a seam for my applique, and this little plastic lid was just the right size, so I made a template using that circle, and I'll be making my circles using a cardboard template with this old cereal box. Template and my 4 patch over to my pressing mat, and I just used water. I could have used some starch. I wanted to see if water would work, and it was handy and it did work. So I don't know if this will always be the case, but it worked fine for me today. I tucked in all of those edges right around that circle, and I pressed, and I do have some excess there that I'll be trimming after I get all of my circles prepared. I chose some background fabrics, a really light print here, a couple of different prints that I think are really sweet, and my squares are 9 inches. I will center the circles right on my square here, and if you want them perfectly centered, you can just press your squares in half twice and line up the seams to center that circle, but I did not do that. Before appliquing the circle down, I just cut away that little bit of excess on the back there. I pinned it down, and then for this first one, I did a little hand applique. quilt that I saw in that antique shop had circles that had been machine appliqued. So I wanted to show you that that is perfectly fine. I just pinned that circle down and I stitched around, trying to stay as close to that folded edge as I could. For me, making the blocks this way using a 4-patch was a lot easier than trying to cut 4 arcs and, ahead of time and then sewing them together. I think this process went really quick, and I think it's going to make a beautiful quilt. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you next time.